Season 2, Episode 3 of the Belleville Sens podcast. David Foote and Brock Ormond here as we've officially begun the season. The Sens are 1-1 after their season-opening road trip to Pennsylvania. We will break down the games in Hershey and Lehigh Valley. We'll also get you set up for the home opener presented by CAA happening this weekend at CAA Arena, and we'll mix in a couple interviews with some of the guys, find out who we can track down after practice to get some thoughts on the opening weekend of the season. Mentioned it, Brock, 1-1 to start the campaign. Sens go into Hershey on Saturday night with all the attention on the Bears and their banner-raising ceremony. They spoil the party. They're not able to follow it up with another victory in Lehigh Valley on Sunday afternoon on the quick turnaround. But I think generally first, Dave Bell and his staff probably all right with an opening weekend split.
Yeah, and especially after the delay with the banner-raising ceremony, and as expected, as Dave Bell and Ryan Bonus and everybody with the Sens expected, it gave them a little bit of that extra boost, that extra drive to succeed, and they certainly came out strong. Only had 20 shots in the game, but they ended up winning 3-0 on the back of another outstanding performance from Mads Søgaard. He's been doing this a lot the last couple years in Belleville, coming through in big games, and opening night is one of the bigger nights on the schedule. And for the Belleville Sens, they get Søgaard in there with a shutout, and then he came in and played really well on Sunday as well against Lehigh Valley. It was a tough start, a tough day for Kevin Mandolese coming off that short turnaround, and the Sens got off to a strong start, but unfortunately couldn't carry it on after the 2 goals in 13 seconds. And Mandolese ended up getting yanked. Mads Søgaard comes in and performs extremely well to keep the Sens in the game. Unfortunately, though, the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, after a tough opening game the previous night, they come back and they play much better on home ice against the Sens and take the victory. But a 1-1 opening weekend, it's pretty impressive stuff from Dave Bell and company, and now it's all about getting to the home opener Saturday night. That should be a real exciting and packed house, I would imagine, as tickets are selling pretty well.
Yeah, we do have seats remaining, and if you want to get tickets for the home opener on Saturday presented by CAA, head to the ticket hub at BellevilleSens.com or shoot an email to tickets@BellevilleSens.com. Let's talk a little bit about Mads Søgaard and the performance first on Saturday. The 30-save shutout, first shutout of his AHL career, which is almost hard to believe, given how well he has played for the Belleville Senators in his young career. But looked like he was in mid-season form, and looks like there's maybe an added bit of confidence, and I think we can see the impact that the extended NHL time that he had last season maybe had in his off-season preparation in getting ready for this year.
Yeah, and the Great Dane, yeah, you're absolutely right, David. I thought the exact same thing as you did after that victory. Hard to believe it's his first career AHL shutout. Feels like he's had many more with the way he's played. But Mads Søgaard certainly looked calm and comfortable, and checking out some of that game on Saturday night, didn't look like he was frazzled by the moment. And, of course, again, the 10,000-plus seat Giant Center, one of the more intimidating buildings, I would say, in the AHL.
It is.
Yeah, the Hershey Bears coming off the banner-raising ceremony, and Søgaard just put it out of his head, treated it like it was any other game, and he ended up with the 30-save shutout. And, again, being a big guy and getting some time, like you said, up in Ottawa, certainly has boded well for him in his AHL career. And people maybe were a bit surprised that he didn't stick in Ottawa this time, but of course with the addition of Joonas Korpisalo and then Anton Forsberg from last year, Søgaard was allowed to get some extra time here in Belleville, and it's paid off at least for the first 2 games of this season. But he looked great last year amid a bit of a trying year with injuries and maybe a bit of inconsistency, but today this weekend he was stellar.
Yeah, and I did have to come in on Sunday afternoon, as you mentioned, about, not midway through the game, early second period, after a bit of a rough start for Kevin Mandolese, a couple of bad bounces, a Lassie Thompson blown tire leads to a breakaway, and then a couple shorthanded goals really sink the Sens. But we talked to Sogi before the game on Sunday and said, hey man, you earned that day off, didn't you? And he said, yeah, I think I did. It was real nice to get a shutout out of the way at the start of the season, and now I can sit back and watch my buddy Mando do some work. And then Sogi has to come in. He goes 22 for 22, and we talked in the preseason episodes just about how important the goaltending was going to be for this team, and I don't think you can chalk too much up to Kevin Mandolese's start, but you can certainly, I think, put a whole lot of stock in that weekend performance by Mads Søgaard as the backbone, I think, right now in the crease for Belleville.
Yeah, and he will probably, David Bell said he wants to split the time and give these two guys who both got NHL time last year some chances. And Mads Søgaard, though, I would imagine will probably get the start on Saturday. That hasn't been confirmed yet, but certainly well-deserving of another start with the way he's played. And it's all about just trying to keep the guys at an even playing field in terms of the workload. Don't want to wear one of them down too early, or one or the other, but Søgaard is well-deserved of getting the opportunity to start and really to carry the load, because if one of Corpus Salo or Forsberg goes down up in Ottawa, Mads Søgaard is going to be getting that ring from DJ Smith and Pierre Dorian to come down and to suit up for Ottawa, who's gotten off to a pretty good start themselves. And given Levi Merrilainen on the same token an opportunity to develop out in ECHL, Allen, as we mentioned in the past episodes, is certainly good for his development and to face the ECHL caliber players, and then getting up here in the AHL and getting his opportunity if Søgaard is ever called up.
Yeah, and as much as goaltending was a big focus on the weekend, the offense chipped in a little bit. Sens score 5 goals over their first 2 games, this being the first one of the season, courtesy of Cole Reinhardt. Shots are 7-3 Bears. Hershey's had 2 power plays. Here's a nice takeaway by Reinhardt. He'll come back in. Reinhardt backhand scores! Against the run of play, Cole Reinhardt gets the Sens first of the season, and it's a 1-0 lead at Giant Center for Belleville. A giant goal indeed for Cole Reinhardt, who opens the Senators' account on the season. He had a really good weekend as well, a goal on Saturday, an assist on Sunday afternoon, and really just going to be a massive, massive year, I think, for Rhino.
Yeah, 11 goals he had last season, and certainly he's a guy that loves to play a two-way game. He penalty kills, he really grinds it out in the corners along the boards, and he's got some finesse there too, and it feels like he's been around for a long time as well, former WHLer. And Cole Reinhardt is a guy that David Bell just loves to put out there in any given situation. He is, we say he's got some skill and finesse, but he's not the most skilled overall, pure skill guy like an Igor Sokolov or an Angus Crookshank, but he's the type of guy that can step in and really give you good minutes when you need them to. In the key moments, he's always out there on the ice, and he comes through here with a first period goal to start the scoring for the Belleville Sens, and it was a nice little move too, nice little backhand move on the deke after the Bears got caught kind of lollygagging through center ice, and Cole Reinhardt comes in, swoops and steals, and that's one of his fortes is puck dispossession, and he finds a way to strip the puck away, steal it, and then go right in on goal and deke out Clay Stevenson for the game's opening goal and the first goal of the season for the Belleville Sens. Exciting stuff for Cole Reinhardt. It's always nice to get your name on there for sure.
Yeah, his name as well at the top of the record book for all-time games played by a Belleville Senator. He and Igor Sokolov breaking that record last Saturday night with their 170th career AHL games. They've now played 171 because they both dressed on Sunday as well. And Igor Sokolov getting his first of the season on Sunday. Not a pretty one, but a power play bank-in, and Soko will take him any way he can get him, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's a scorer for sure, and the type of guy that doesn't mind putting the men off anywhere. The behind the head, the legs, the skates, the arms, whatever. As long as it counts, he's happy. And Igor Sokolov was a near 20-goal guy last season, and a guy that, again, much like a Søgaard and Mandalay, got a long extended look up in Ottawa with the crew in Osen's land. And Igor Sokolov was a guy that is a fan favorite here. He's been around for a couple years now, and the fans have really taken to him for his on-ice play as well as in the community. And Dave Bell has talked again about Igor being such a model citizen in the community. Loves to go to schools, loves to visit the old folks, seniors' homes, loves to visit fire stations, police stations, whatever, what have you. And Igor Sokolov on the ice and in the community is one guy that you love to kind of clone and make 20 different players of, because he's the type of guy that you build your character off of. And nice to see him get his first goal in his second game, and a little bank play off the back of the goaltender. And it was part of a pretty swift start on Sunday, carrying on that momentum from the Saturday night opener. but unfortunately just fell short in the end. But Igor Sokolov is the type of guy that's going to be expected to score a lot for the B-Sens, and I mean, there's no aim yet. There's no real expectations, I can't imagine, because, you got injuries and call-ups in the mix as well. But I expect him to be a 20-goal guy at least, and maybe even a 30-goal guy if he stays healthy.
All right, a couple more bright spots we want to talk about here before we head to break and before we get into the interviews this week. We're hoping to be able to catch up with Zack Ostapchuk and Tyler Kleven, a couple of the rookies, to see how their first weekend in the AHL went. But let's quickly talk about another AHL debutant in Nicola Montempalo. Big defenseman, scores on the power play in Hershey on Saturday night. That will be a nice addition to this lineup. Maybe a little bit of an unexpected one, how big of an impact it seems two ways that he might make.
Yeah, came from Finland, and he was a guy that really was on not many people's radar coming in here to Belleville, and he comes to the system and, scores in his first game, and he looked pretty good doing it, too. He plays a solid, responsible defensive game, and he can chip in, as we saw on offense on Saturday night in Hershey. A nice little drive from the point set up by Lassie Thompson. Normally it's Thompson shooting those bullets, but this time it's him setting up Montempalo, his fellow countrymen. And, of course, he's got Thompson there for experience and for knowledge and to lean on whenever things get tough, which is so crucial. And maybe that's part of the reason why Ryan Bonus brought him in here to Belleville and to play in a situation like he is. And, of course, you got a couple others as well that help him out in Merrill-Linen, who's down in the ECHL. But Nicholas Montempalo looked pretty darn good on Saturday night, and he'll be expected to eat some minutes for this team on the blue line.
Garrett Pilon had a goal and an assist on the weekend as well. A huge weekend for him as he gets his Calder Cup championship ring after being a member of the Bears for the last, 5 seasons or so. But, of course, last season specifically. And what a moment it was for him, being able to watch him take part in that ceremony with his former teammates. And I thought it was a really nice touch by the Bears to give him his jersey so that he matched everybody for the photos that they were taking and didn't look out of place. They welcomed him back basically for one night to be a part of the festivities. But, a banner raising at any time is a sight to behold, but it was really a special occasion for Garrett Pilon on Saturday night.
Yeah, and it's well-deserved, too. He had the Game 5 overtime winner in the Calder Cup final against the Coachella Valley Firebirds. And you were talking to Zach Fish from the Bears broadcaster, and he said that, Pilon was, again, one of the fan favorites, a guy that steps in the big moments and comes through in the clutch when his team needs him, and they desperately needed that victory. And the series tied at 2 against Coachella Valley. He comes through with the OT winner, and then Hershey goes on to win it in 7 thrilling games, one of the best Calder Cup finals in recent memory, I would say, and Garrett Pilon had a huge part in that, and he ends up taking the championship trophy and wearing the jersey and coming back. It was a real emotional night, to be sure, and Garrett Pilon was happy about that and happy about his new team getting the win against his old team, which was the key part of that. But him being part of that picture and seeing the banner raised, you go through a lot of emotions when you're a part of a 20-plus man roster that's loaded with talent like Hershey was last year, and to come through and win a championship and see a banner raised, especially in what is one of the most legendary American Hockey League cities, is just, like you said, a sight to behold. It's a wonderful feeling, and Garrett Pilon was a part of that.
All right, before we take a break, anybody else stand out to you in the opening 2 games last weekend, Brock?
Yeah, it was a good overall team weekend, especially the Saturday night. Jacob Bernard Docker was steady on the back end. He's out there taking reps right now during practice with Nate McIver, and I think you'll see a big year out of him because a lot of people, again, much like Sogar, a little surprised that the Ottawa Senators elected to send him back here to Belleville. Of course, Belleville fans are happy. We're happy about it, but Jacob Bernard Docker, well-deserved for getting his top 4 minutes, and he's a guy that is only 23 years old, and he's got a lot of space to grow and to mature as a player, and he had a pretty solid weekend, especially against the Saturday night, and despite the loss on Sunday, he stood out as well, and Roby Yarventi back as well. He had a great preseason with the NHL's Ottawa Sens. He comes back to Belleville, plays in the 2 games on the road, and even though he wasn't scoring much, he found a way to get into those dirty areas and get his chances. And certainly that extra experience up in Ottawa has really helped develop him and helped him push forward in what is sure to be another key season for him. Expect him to pile up the goals once he gets going.
Yeah, and of course, only 2 games in the books, so there's only so much you can analyze and read into, but I think that's a pretty good look at how the Sens did over the first couple of games of the season. Again, more on what's to come this week and some player interviews when we return. You're listening to the Belleville Sens podcast. It's episode 3 of season 2 on the Belleville Sens Entertainment Network.
Cheer on your home team, the Belleville Senators. Edge of your seat action.
Out for Max Gannett, he'll fire and scores!
Wednesday, October 25th, your Sens play the Milwaukee Admirals, AHL affiliate of the Nashville Predators for Winning Wednesday. $5 domestic tall cans and $2 hot dogs. 6 p.m. to puck drop. Gates open at 6. Full details on ticket options and more at BellevilleSens.com.
Go, Sens, go!
Episode 3 of the Season 2 of the Belleville Sens podcast continues. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you're listening this week so you don't miss an episode. Give us a 5-star rating and a good review as well, will you? That would really help us out. David Foote, Brock Ormond here. We spent the first 15 minutes or so of the program breaking down the split last weekend in Pennsylvania and Hershey and Allentown. We will spend the final 10 minutes or so teeing up the week ahead, which is pretty easy to do because there's only one game. But we'll spend the next 10 or 15 minutes chatting with a couple of the newest Belleville Senators and newest professional players as well. We'll hear from Zack Ostapchuk and Tyler Kleven, who both made their AHL debuts last weekend. Let's maybe start with Ostapchuk, a big boy. Actually, both of them are pretty big kids if we're honest. But he's a big body. You can tell he still maybe needs to bulk up a little bit and learn how to use that size. But a guy with World Junior experience, a guy who absolutely filled the net in the WHL last season. And boy, I'm excited to see how Zack Ostapchuk is able to develop here in Belleville.
Yeah, the gentle giant, if you will, Zack Ostapchuk. He had a pretty decent showing against Hershey and Lehigh Valley, and you'll hear in our chat with him, he took a pretty hard hit from a big guy in Dylan McElrath, one of the most feared pugilists in the AHL, but he stepped right back in there and didn't look any worse for wear. So that's a good sign. Shows that he's got some moxie to him. He's got some steel in him. So a nice job done by Ostapchuk, and like you said, once he gets the feel of the game, once he gets the flow going and starts to really gain chemistry and gain some of that rapport with his line mates, he's going to be a very, very interesting player to watch, and could challenge for a spot in Ottawa very soon as well, with the way that he can put the puck in the net, and scoring definitely is at a premium. So it's nice to have a guy that has that natural ability.
Still just 20 years old, Ottawa's second-round pick, 39th overall in 2021. The Edmonton native, as we mentioned, has played twice for Canada at the World Junior Championship, and he was actually the captain of the Senators team at the rookie tournament or prospect showcase in Buffalo back in September. So let's hear from Sens forward Zack Ostapchuk on the Belleville Sens podcast.
Here with Sens forward prospect Zack Ostapchuk. Just finished your first weekend in the American Hockey League, getting set for the home opener. Thanks for taking some time for us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
How was the first weekend in the AHL?
Yeah, it was good. It was eye-opening. Everybody's so big and fast here. I got popped once early, so kind of a little welcome to the league, but I think I got more comfortable as the games went on, and I'm looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah, there was a pretty big hit there by McElrath, a veteran in this league as well. But like you say, you popped back up and didn't seem any worse for wear. Do you almost get some confidence perhaps from taking a hit like that and kind of knowing, hey, I can hang here a little bit?
Yeah, exactly. It kind of just gets you into the game, get popped like that. You don't want to get hit like that again. So, I have my head up coming up this weekend, and yeah, it'll be good.
As a young guy, those banner-raising ceremonies can be, big occasions for anybody. It's your AHL debut. You have to deal with the time in between, the pomp and circumstance. How did you kind of process all that and get yourself ready to go?
Yeah, it was a little different for sure, but I think I kind of just got completely undressed and then I just tried to stay moving, stay on the bike, and I think we had 40 minutes off there in between, so it was definitely weird. I've never experienced that before, but it was okay, and I think we came out with a decent start. So.
Yeah, a split is not something to frown at for sure in opening weekend. What's kind of been the mood like around the room since getting back? Are you guys relatively happy at least with the start?
Yeah, we know there's a lot of work to be done. We didn't particularly like our game in Lehigh there, but the Hershey game is something to build on for sure. And I think we just gotta look at the little details and stuff and get better at that little stuff and clean it up.
Yeah, and what have you learned from a coach like Dave Bell so far that's had a lot of experience at this level and a lot of different places in hockey? What have you kind of learned from him and have taken and put into your game so far, like in the early stage of the season?
Yeah, Bellsy, he's been really good to me. Obviously, he's a really smart hockey mind, and we trust him and whatever systems he lays out there for us, and we think they work. So, yeah, we just want to work hard for him, and we want to win games for him.
What have been the kind of first impressions of Belleville and the facility and things here?
Yeah, I love it. I love the facilities here. I think it's awesome. I like the kind of the smaller town vibes. I like that. It's a little quieter, but I enjoy it. And it's a beautiful little place, and I'm really happy here so far.
You were obviously in Ottawa camp as well. How do you feel that kind of went? And maybe what did they say to you in terms of where they would like to see you progress here early in your AHL career?
Yeah, I think it was okay. I didn't play my best, I don't think, but that's why they sent me here, and they just wanted me to kind of just overall just be a smarter hockey mind and just get some experience at the pro level and get bigger and stronger, obviously, because that's what I'm going to need to do is if I want to play a big guy game. So yeah, that's kind of just what I've been told, and that's what I'm going to do.
A lot of Western flavor in this dressing room as well. Must be nice to kind of have that familiarity, I suppose, with some guys.
Yeah, it's nice to talk to them. Guys that have been played in the league before me, or even guys I played against while I was in the Western League. It's kind of fun to joke around with them about the league, and yeah, it's been good.
I guess what are your goals for the season, I guess, for yourself? Obviously, we know where this team stands in terms of objectives, but have you set any benchmarks for yourself this year?
Yeah, I think my benchmarks are, I want to give it my all and try and get a call up, right? That's my goal by the end of the year is just maybe play that one game or whatever it may be, and I think that was a big goal I set for myself, and I want to be a big part here. I want to be a big piece here and be relied upon to play big minutes and play important situations. So those are my goals.
Yeah, and with the first two under your belt, how much are you looking forward to getting on home ice here this weekend?
Yeah, I'm pumped. It's going to be really cool to see our fans and play in this building. So I think it's going to be awesome.
Thanks, Chuck. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, there's Zack Ostapchuk, and you used the term gentle giant earlier, Brock. I feel like everybody is a giant to me, but really a nice kid and seems to be settling in pretty well here to the American Hockey League and the Belleville Sens.
Yeah, and a guy that you can just see him light up to when he talks about being able to play at CAA Arena here pretty shortly and to be in the physical element that he has been so far in the first couple of games. And like we said, the scoring will come eventually. It's not easy to score in the American Hockey League. The junior ranks like the WHL, little bit of a difference there between that and professional hockey, one step around the NHL. And so Zack Ostapchuk, a very smart hockey player, and he said he's just going to try and work on, being smarter, making quicker decisions with the puck, not throwing it away whenever he's under pressure. And Dave Bell and him will work on that for sure and try and iron out some kinks in his game. And he's going to be a very good player to watch as we go along here.
And, again, as we say, and you'll hear in, various episodes of the show and interviews we do, the goal of everybody in this organization is to get to the NHL. But it's really nice to talk to a young guy like that and hear that he doesn't seem to be in a rush. He seems to have a pretty good idea of what the roadmap looks like and the destinations that he has to hit in order to get to that final end destination of the NHL, and really does seem to have a solid understanding that success here in Belleville is the fastest way to get yourself called up to the NHL.
Yeah, absolutely. And they'll be looking, too. DJ Smith and Pierre Dorian, Ryan Bonus, they'll all be putting eyeballs on him, too. And not just him, but a few others as well. And you'll hear from Tyler Kleven a little bit later on. But he's another guy to watch out for. And Zack Ostapchuk as a forward, you like we said before, you want to compete with your teammates and have camaraderie with you and chemistry with your teammates, but you're also kind of competing with them at the same time in order to put up more points and get noticed by more people, and also get up to the Ottawa Sens faster. And Ostapchuk already says he wants that call up later in the season, for even if it's just for one game, just to get a taste. So it's going to be really interesting to see how guys like him fare and see how they do at the professional level.
All right, you just mentioned Tyler Kleven, so let's move on. Another AHL debut for him last weekend. The big defender from Fargo, North Dakota, is 21 years old, drafted in the second round by the Sens in 2020, played 3 seasons at the University of North Dakota inside the Ralph Engelstad Arena, which is known around the hockey world as the Taj Mahal of hockey. It is an incredibly beautiful rink, and what a place to play your college career. Full every night, top of the line game presentation, crazy fans, and not to mention the caliber of the team that they tend to ice there. It's the same place that Jacob Bernard Docker played his collegiate hockey, so he and Tyler Kleven know each other well. But what a transition that's got to be for him from that environment now to the AHL.
Yeah, and it's fitting that he's got Bernard Docker here to bounce off of. There's a mentioned when the Ottawa Sens drafted him a couple of years ago, and it was those two guys together, and people said that's a match made in heaven to have those two guys potentially be teammates and D partners on a Belleville and Ottawa Senators team, and so far the Belleville Sens have worked out really well with those two guys. And Tyler Kleven, another big guy like you mentioned, and he's going to be the type of guy that will step up and throw some pretty big hits like we saw on Sunday, and just rocked Evan Polai of the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, and he was staggering after that. And you hate to see that when you got a guy staggering back to the bench looking like he's in another planet, but with Tyler Kleven, he's a guy that will throw the big hit like that and then ask if you're all right afterwards. And he's a guy that, much like Ostapchuk, that gentle giant type of personality, speaks softly, carries a big stick, and offensively, like we said, those goals and points will eventually come from the blue line. But it's all about just paying attention to detail defensively, and he's got one of the best teachers behind that bench in David Bell to lead him along.
Well, why don't we talk to Tyler Kleven about that transition and that big hit, and learning from Dave Bell. He's our next guest on Episode 3 of Season 2 of the Belleville Sens podcast. Here with the Sens defenseman and new AHL debutant, Tyler Kleven. Thanks for taking a few moments for us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
How have you been settling in to Belleville since coming down from Ottawa's camp? You got a couple games under your belt. How have the past couple weeks been for you?
Yeah, it's been good. Settled in, rooming with the same guys I was with in Ottawa, so it's pretty easy transition, and the coaching staff has been great, and all the guys here have been super supportive, so it's been a pretty easy transition.
Obviously some familiar faces in this dressing room as well. You and JBD know each other from school, just to name one easy connection. How much easier does that kind of make the transition for you?
Yeah, well, I think over the course of last couple months, I've gotten to know a lot of the guys, and I've become pretty good friends with a lot of them, so I think that's been a big helping factor in being comfortable out on the ice and in the dressing room as well.
You did look comfortable in your first couple AHL games, at least from upstairs where we sit. How did you feel in your AHL debut and then the Sunday afternoon quick turnaround?
Yeah, I thought that I played my game. I just played a simple game and tried to move the puck as fast as I can to the open man, and join in the rush when I got an opportunity, and try to play physical and get my box outs in. And it's the first couple games of the season, so there's going to be mistakes, but I think that I'm happy.
You laid that one big hit on Sunday afternoon. Was that kind of a nice feeling to, throw a big hit at relatively big time in the game, but also to kind of know that you can hang in this league?
Yeah, well, I hope that guy's okay to start. I think that's a big part of my game is physicality. And, I just tried to separate a man from the puck. And, I think that, that's a big reason why I'm at where I'm at today. So.
How did you feel about the jump in skill level from the NCAA, and maybe how does the AHL, your brief taste, compared to the taste of NHL action you got last season as well?
Yeah, I think that guys are a little bit bigger and stronger. I think that the skill level is pretty similar with the top guys, being on Denver and all that stuff. All those guys in Minnesota, Duluth, they all had top guys that are going to play at the AHL level. So, I think that the speed is still a little bit slower than the NHL, but still good pace out there. And, I just want to keep progressing my game.
You played, as we mentioned, your university hockey in North Dakota, where you're from. That must have been an amazing experience to get to suit up for basically your hometown school.
Yeah, there's no better place in college hockey than the Ralph. Being that close to home with all my family and friends there, that was an absolute treat to play there for 3 years. And, I created so many memories and, grew my game over 3 years. And I'm so thankful for the coaching staff and just all the support I got while I was there. It was awesome.
How do you now transition here? CAA Arena is a little bit different than the Ralph, and obviously now you're not close to home. How do you kind of make that transition?
Yeah, I just think that, just using the support staff I got here with all my friends and my teammates, and, I just think that I just need to come here and play my game. There's not many places like the Ralph, but I'm excited to see what CAA Arena's got, and just trying to bring my game the same way every night, and I'm excited for first game come Saturday.
Yeah, what are your goals for the season? Obviously the NHL is the goal. Have you kind of set some milestones for yourself you'd like to hit?
Yeah, I think so. Right now it's progressing every day, and when I get my opportunity, I'm going to make the most of it, and I think that that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you, Tyler. Thanks for the time. And, looking forward to seeing you out there this year.
Perfect. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Another really well-spoken young man, and, again, a guy who seems to understand the spot he's at in his career and the steps that need to be made to get to the NHL. I feel like that's something that the Senators as an organization, since they came to Belleville from Binghamton, have done really well, and not over-promising to prospects and really making it loud and clear that if you hit these check marks, you're going to get that opportunity, so work as hard here as you can to achieve those goals.
Yeah, that's the patience part of it, not rushing prospects. And that's one thing, like you said, Ottawa's done really well, and Belleville, too, is just taking it step by step. I mean, getting Sokolov, Sogard, Bernard Docker, Yerventi, now Reinhardt, Kleven, and Ostapchuk, just taking them step by step and not throwing them into the fire at 19 and 20 years old to get eaten alive by NHL teams. So, and then the AHL is the next best step for sure to develop and to be a good professional as well as being a good hockey player. And it seems like so far it's paid off for those guys.
A couple games in the books for them, only one more in the books for this week. The home opener presented by CAA is coming up on Saturday. We'll tee that up and give you a bit of a preview into next week's action as well as Episode 3 of Season 2 of the Belleville Sens podcast continues.
The best night out in the Bay of Quinte for you and the kids?
That's the Belleville Senators Family 4-Pack. The night with the best value. 4 White Zone tickets starting at $100. Plus, choose bonuses from either the CAA Arena concessions or the locker room store.
That's more for 4.
Get full details on the Family 4-Pack. See the ticket hub at BellevilleSens.com. The best night out in Bay of Quinte with Quinte's pro hockey team, the Belleville Senators.
Family 4-Pack.
Excludes games against Toronto.
Just about set to wrap up this episode of the Belleville Sens podcast. Thanks to Tyler Kleven and Zack Ostapchuk for their time after practice this week. We did speak to Dave Bell as well. You can see that interview on the Belleville Sens socials at Belleville Sens or on our Belleville Sens Entertainment Network YouTube page. And just caught up with him about the week that was and the preparations for Saturday's home opener presented by CAA. And the coach said his thoughts haven't changed too much from the weekend. He was content, we'll say, with the split as long as, like he said to me in Allentown on Sunday, as long as we learn from the lessons that were taught in this loss early in the season, we'll be fine with a split on opening weekend. So we only have to wait a couple days now, Brock, to see how they respond and how being back on home ice might impact this team and maybe give them an extra boost that they didn't have last weekend.
Yeah, and a little bit of an extra drive, too, with the Laval Rocket being in here. And Laval, like David facetiously said, we only play them about 400 times this year. And, but really it's 12 times, and it feels like a lot. But those rivalry games are always so fun. I mean, it's always fun to play teams that you don't see too often, like Hershey and Lehigh Valley, only twice in a year. But then you got Laval and Toronto and Rochester that we'll see a bunch of times this year, Syracuse as well. And those are the kinds of games that bring the crowds. They bring the fans. They bring the excitement and the passion. And it's just so exciting to see the building full. We hope it'll be full on Saturday night. But the Laval Rocket and the Montreal Canadiens always have that good relationship. And a lot of guys from Laval have gotten their chances now in other markets. But, again, very much a team that plays a good, sound game defensively, and Belleville Sens have to really match that like they did for the most part on the weekend. A couple of hiccups on Sunday, but overall, Belleville, this is a chance to really show themselves up against a team that is always going to be difficult to beat. You want to grab as many points as possible this early in the season. You don't want to have a couple of missed opportunities come back to hurt you towards the end of the year.
Especially inside the division. We've seen firsthand in 3 of the last 4 seasons how important those divisional points become at the end of the season. So, the Sens want to make a good impression in front of their hometown fans for the first time. They want to win a rivalry game and pick up some crucial points against a Laval team that beat them in the preseason, we should note, at Place Bell. But a Laval team that also has not had the luxury that the Senators have had of basically a full week off. Belleville traveled back from Allentown after the afternoon game Sunday. We got in about midnight and an off day Monday, practice all week, and no school visits, none of the appearances starting until next week. So they've really been able to get themselves settled and prepare for Saturday's game, whereas Laval, they're on a 4-game homestand to start the season, which sounds nice, but they've got to play twice between the recording of this podcast Wednesday afternoon and Saturday night's game, and they play Friday night and have to travel. So the Senators, you would think, would have the upper hand. Things seem to be stacked their way when it comes to all of the off-ice stuff that comes along with it.
Yeah, the scheduling kind of not playing Laval any favors, but Belleville will take it, and they have, and Dave Bell will say it, they will have no excuse not to be ready, and going out in front of a big crowd. Fans are going to be loud. They're going to be all jacked up because of the opening festivities and the ceremonial introduction to the team as well, and everything that goes with a home opener. And if they don't come out flying in the first few minutes, then chances are it's going to be a tough go, and Laval's going to try and take them to the wall. But the Belleville Sens certainly should be absolutely ready for this Laval Rocket team, who is always a competitive outfit, and they're always going to be a tough team to beat. No matter where they play or when they play, it's always a good battle between these two teams. Going to be a lot of Ottawa Belleville fans here, a lot of Montreal fans, I would imagine, in town making the trip. But they travel real well, and so it's going to be a very neat experience, very interesting hockey game, I would imagine, on Saturday night.
Rosters are still kind of filling themselves out, so there's not a whole lot of early analysis we can do. We can tell you that while Belleville split their opening 2 games, Laval lost both at home to Abbotsford, and as mentioned, they've got to play the Rochester Americans Wednesday, which is the day of recording of this episode, and Friday heading into the Saturday games. So we'll have to see how things shake down. After Saturday and the home opener presented by CAA, 3 home games next next week. Milwaukee is in on Wednesday, October 25th for the first Winning Wednesday of the season. You'll have a chance to win event tickets from the Canadian Tire Center in Ottawa, F45 gym memberships, a whole bunch of stuff up for grabs for Winning Wednesday. And then October 27th, the Friday night, the Marlies are here for the first time on Loyalist College Student and Alumni Night. And then Saturday, October 28th, it's the Marlies again for 90s Night presented by Hits 95.5 FM, which will all be exciting. But next week is next week. Let's focus on this weekend, Saturday night, 7 p.m., and filling this building to welcome the Sens back in style. Gates open at 6. The Fan Fest begins at 4 o'clock, which has the Kids Zone at the Quinte Sports and Wellness Center Gymnasium, the red carpet walk from the players if you want to get up close and personal, get some autographs from your favorite players. That's all happening starting at 4 o'clock on Saturday as well. And you can get tickets again via the ticket hub at BellevilleSens.com or by sending an email to tickets@BellevilleSens.com. The box office will also be open on game day as well. So plenty of ways for you to get in the building on Saturday. I, for one, am certainly looking forward to it.
Yep, so am I. It's going to be a very exciting day, an exciting night, and should be, like we said, a large crowd. And the nicest part is, it hasn't been too many transactions, not too many guys getting sent up or down or wherever. It's largely the same team that played the first two games over the weekend. So that's a nice thing to see, to have basically your whole team here, and except for a couple of guys that are injured. So fans certainly should get attached to this team pretty early. They'll play a real exciting up-tempo style and be defensively responsible. But the fans getting a chance to see their players for the first time up close and personal too is always going to be an exciting atmosphere and makes for a real exciting day.
If for whatever reason you can't make it to the game Saturday, Brock and I will have it for you on the Belleville Sens Entertainment Network. You can access that via your smartphone and the Belleville Sens app, or you can just head to BellevilleSens.com, and there will be a banner right at the top of the page telling you to click to listen live. It's that easy to stay connected with the Sens all season long. Of course, follow us on social media as well, at Belleville Sens. And one more reminder to subscribe to the podcast, toss us a 5-star rating and a good review, and we would really appreciate that. Much like we appreciate you listening this week, we appreciate the time of Coach off the record there, and of Zack Ostapchuk and Tyler Kleven. Brock Ormond here in the Jack Miller Press Box and Media Center with me, David Foote, and thanks again for listening. We'll talk to you next week on the Belleville Sens podcast.